What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Dép Podcast. It's been a while. It's been an extra couple of days. We took New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off, and then we figured, what the heck, we're not going to record something on a Friday. You never resurrect a diet on a Friday, right, Tsalikis? So we're back at it on this lovely Monday. This is, to me, this is the official start of the new year. Monday, Jan 5, this is where it all starts. This is when we're going to work out every day. This is when we're going to eat healthier. This is when everything gets back on track. Start work again. This is what it is.
Yeah, this is where traffic sucks again. Everybody's back on the road. All those good things.
Yeah, but overall, you didn't really. I mean, you weren't really off, right? Like you did some radio work. I'm sure you did some real estate work. Like you didn't take 2 weeks, did you?
No, I didn't. I did a lot of radio. I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, both weeks there. New Year's week and Christmas week.
Right.
And we went in a little bit for the starters on the weekend as well. So, look, it was also, World Juniors, NFL schedule, NHL, we're trying to get all those games in before the break. So it's been quite the last 2 weeks. And even the upcoming week's going to get silly again.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's been, you want to talk about a couple of weeks. I mean, it's been a grind of a couple of weeks for the Canadiens. I know there's a holiday break in there, but it feels like I don't even remember what the Bell Center looks like, Simon. From the TV perspective, because the Canadiens have been on the road that long. And I think overall, if you look at the way this is all played out, I mean, you had one regulation loss on this trip. You played 2 games in less than 24 hours because, I mean, technically they played at 4 Eastern on Saturday, which is 3 Central, and then they played at 2 Eastern, 1 Central on Sunday. And that's a pretty good Dallas Stars team that they went head-to-head against. They were hanging on. They held on by the skin of their teeth at the very end to force overtime. I thought for sure the go-ahead goal was coming late in regulation for Dallas, but the Canadiens found a way. Montembeault made a couple saves, and they just hung in there. And then they finally get the winner from LANE HUTSON in overtime. But it just feels like with this Canadiens team, anytime you look at the schedule and you think to yourself, oh, man, 2 games in 24 hours or less than 24 hours, they're playing against a really good Stars team. They were flat against St. Louis. There's no chance they're winning this game. They come out and get 2 points, and it feels like they do this a lot.
Yeah, listen, the way that Saturday and Sunday started to shape up and you saw the loss against St. Louis, you think, okay, a very good Dallas team, as you mentioned, a little bit of traveling, not the world's biggest travel, but traveling nonetheless, getting to your hotel room, all those things. And just tag it and bag it, just finish this road trip and start to head back home. So just a excellent performance. And I thought they got owned in the third period, but I think that was fatigue settling in. I think there's nothing left there, and it's a good Dallas team that keeps coming at you. And I don't know, man, they held on there. They went to the scorecards, and they waited for the judge's decision. They got an overtime. Montembeault makes a big save as well. And then, you mentioned when they made the Phil Deneau acquisition, and I'm just drawing a blank here. There was another big-time face-off they won. I think it was the one in Tampa Bay, right?
Yes.
Where they bought a little bit of time. We got the puck back to the point. Hudson to Slavkovsky with about, 4 or 5 seconds left.
Yeah.
And he picked up a point in that game as well, where they had secured the point, getting that possession, Phil Deneau winning that draw, or at least battling for that draw, and they get the extra point in Dallas. So, look, quite a successful road trip for the Canadiens. Very impressive.
I thought for sure, I think it was the first goal, Simon. I thought for sure, I was like, oh, he finally got his first of the year. This is it. He got it. But then I didn't realize that the shot went off Deneau, went off Gallagher. And I'm happy. I was happy for Gallagher, too, because it's been a rough go offense. I actually thought he was pretty good against the Dallas Stars. Felt like he was moving a little bit better, got pucks to the net. And he obviously got the goal that went off a couple people before going in. But, on the Deneau perspective, I thought he had scored, but then you look at the way that he contributed, and it's a lesson for, it's a reminder. I shouldn't say a lesson, but it's a reminder for me too, because sometimes I complain about, I know you want to win the face-off, but why not have some of your best guys, your 3 best guys out there for overtime, and sometimes you just need possession of the puck, and then you get the puck to your really, really skilled players, and your really, really skilled players can make a big difference, and you go out there and you come back home with another 2 points. And look, I think overall, this road trip, oftentimes is tough, right? I think last year, right before this road trip started, if you look at 2024 going to 2025, they made the Carrier trade. Things weren't going well. They called up Dobesh, who had a couple of big performances. So the trip en tant que tel, if I can say that, was probably fine last year. I don't remember how it finished, but it just seems like they're either reeling before the trip, reeling during the trip, and in fairness to the Canadiens, like they got way more points out of this trip than I had expected. It's such a really long trip.
And they needed the points. Excuse me. There's not a lot of separation between them and everybody else chasing them. So they needed a very successful road trip to keep pace or keep ahead of this Buffalo team that's won, I think, 10 of their last 11. Florida Panthers not going away. I picked up a victory, I think, against Colorado. Or the last time I saw they were playing some pretty good hockey in that game. So Tampa Bay, one of the better teams in the NHL as well. Detroit playing really good hockey. So it took a very successful road trip for them to come back in one of those top spots in the Atlantic Division. And I'm not saying the season could have got away from them, but you know what? You're down with about 5 seconds left to Tampa Bay. You leave there with a point. You're down against the Florida Panthers. Marchand takes the bad penalty. You go from being down late in the third to picking up 2 points. Down by 2 against Carolina, figuring out a way to get back in that hockey game. So very impressive. You look at the schedule, and the St. Louis is probably the one you think you're going to win, and you don't. Well, that's the National Hockey League, and there's the parity, and Jordan Binnington played a hell of a game. But it's not that it was a super, well, I'm going to say super successful, relatively successful. It was very good. It was a very good road trip. And my goodness gracious, that's what they needed to come back with for them to be holding on a playoff spot. That's how competitive it is.
Yeah. And look, I know they've blown leads or they had a hard time getting going in some of these games on this road trip, but it's 82 games. You're on the road. You're grinding it out. It was never going to be perfect. The only game I came away disappointed with was Saturday. Like, that was the only one where I was like, I kind of, not let Jacob Fowler, but Jacob Fowler was the only one where you can say, okay, this guy was really good. The rest, there wasn't really a ton there. But outside of that, I mean, they blew early leads. They had to come back late. In the Florida game, they didn't really generate a ton of offense until late in that game. But overall, I think the only game where you're like, I wish you could have got more was St. Louis. But had I told you, okay, they beat St. Louis on Saturday, but look, they're going to lose to Dallas on Sunday, you would have probably told me, like, yeah, that makes sense. It's 2 games in less than 24 hours. Now, they flipped that, which is funny. But, they still got 2 of the last 4 points after a really, really long trip.
Yeah, look, and a couple of good goaltending performances in that as well. I thought Fowler was good on Saturday.
Yeah.
I thought Montembeault had the week one against
was it Johnston?
I'm drawing a blank on the Stars. Yeah, the week one against, but then he made some pretty big saves.
Yeah.
So look, again, I don't think you can be overly greedy when it comes to your goaltending. You can't go from 840 and expect 925. I think there's just a nice little climb, and you got to get up to good goaltending again. And now it's been a couple of starts that they've gotten the good goaltending. You need that power play to stay efficient, and you're hoping that Phil Deneau takes on some of those penalty killing responsibilities. So that's going to be the recipe, man. Some good goaltending. You're hoping that the incredible progression of that Kapanen line continues. So then you're very comfortable with your top 6. You get something from your bottom 6. And then you got to be efficient on your power play. And I think that's going to be a very simple recipe for this team to have success between now and the end of the season.
There's something that I think, like, look, I'm obviously, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, Simon. I'm going to say something that's very obvious. But, just looking from a number standpoint, I mean, LANE HUTSON, after the Stars game, it's 42 points in 42 games. Last year, I believe it was 66 points in 82 games. But, the thing to me is, he's obviously a smaller player. He's never going to have the rocket of a shot, so he's going to have to find different ways to score, and part of that is going to come in 3-on-3 overtime, and some of it's going to be wrist shots that get through traffic and maybe get deflected by an opponent and go in. But to me, I think one thing that nobody's talking about that's been really impressive, he's up to 7 goals in 42 games, Simon, without having a cannon of a shot. He had 6 in 82 last year. He's right there. He's on pace. He's flirting with 14, 15 goals. And if this guy can be close to a point again, if you're talking about a 70-plus point defenseman, Simon, and a guy who's going to get you 15-ish goals without the heavy shot from the point, I mean, that's just another layer of how impressive this guy's been. Because in year 2, I mean, he's been even better than year 1. And when he wants to take a game over, when he wants to take a period over, he takes a period over. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know where Go back to that Team USA and the way Bill Guerin and his squad dissects the game. Or we're talking about guys that played at the highest level and they're cup winners. They dissect the game a lot better than I do. But Joey, I don't see the lost in his own end. Like, I'll see him fumbling.
He's not.
The game against St. Louis, all right, he got dogged there a little bit. Okay, that's going to happen.
Everybody does.
You have to puck on your stick all the time. An NHL player in front of you, you're going to lose a puck battle, or they might go around you or whatever it may be. But there isn't, I don't know if you watch one of the, whether it's TSN or RDS, and they do a post game, and, when they start breaking down their film, there hasn't, 41, 42 games. There's never been a breakdown of the film afterwards where whoever is doing it, Gaston Terrien or Mike Johnson or whoever, I don't know, is spot shadowing him being lost in his own end. Like, if he's going to lose a puck battle, that's fine. They're all going to lose puck battles.
Yeah.
But just in the right areas, just defending a lot better. He's got his stick is in other players in their passing lanes. Yeah, it's pretty impressive what they're doing, because you got to think also, Joey, that he's a target, man. Like, he's a target. Like, okay, when he's got the puck, lean on him. Go after him, try to hit him, finish your check, whatever it is. Probably been like that for this guy since he was probably 9. But yeah, it's really impressive what he's doing here, and he's hovering. He's at that point of game mark now. It's hard to do it over 82 games, but if you can make a living on that power play, when you look around the best players in this league and they're hovering at a point a game or above a point a game, highly likely that they're very efficient on their power play.
Yeah, and we don't have to harp on the USA thing. I know it came out on Friday or Saturday, and we haven't spoken about it yet. But, to me, the Caulfield one, do I think Cole Caulfield's good enough to be on Team USA? Absolutely. They didn't take Jason Robertson either. There's a couple of guys that I would sub out. Do I think that Cole Caulfield is better than JT Miller? Yes. Do I think Jason Robertson is better than JT Miller? Yes. At the end of the day, Team USA has come up a goal short. They can say whatever they want about defending, but they've come up a goal short in the last couple of tournaments. Now, but the Caulfield argument, you want to go with different guys, whatever. The Hudson one, to me, Simon, you know what it feels like? It feels like, hey, we already have Quinn Hughes. We feel like Quinn Hughes is better than LANE HUTSON, and we're going to go with one undersized puck-moving defenseman. We're not going to take, we're not going to take another one. And I know, I get it. There's lefty and righty, and Jacob Slavin, when healthy, is the best stay-at-home defenseman in the game. I have no problem with Slavin being on the team. But you have Slavin, you have Hanifin, you have a bunch of other guys. You're telling me that you can't find a spot for Cole Caulfield on that blue line? I don't see it. And anyways, to me, it's just I just wanted to take note. Everybody knows how great LANE HUTSON is. And this is just year 2. He's under contract long-term at sub $9 million a year. I can't believe they got that done. But to me, it was the 7 goals, because I didn't know, is this going to be a guy who hits a point a game? There's no doubt in my mind he can do it, but is this going to be a 10-goal, 70-assist guy? Or is this going to be a guy that's going to flirt with 15 to 20 goals a year? And again, without having the big shot, this guy has found a way to already hit 7. We'll see how many he finishes with. He's on pace for just under 14. But that's an element of his game I feel like we don't talk about because it's not necessarily a strength. But anytime you're a defenseman and you're getting right around that 15-goal mark, it's impressive to me. Yeah,
I just go back to the Team USA there. The Jason Robertson omission is greater than the Cole Caulfield omission.
Yeah.
Okay? But LANE HUTSON, this is the one I do not get for a second. Like, if I'm running Team USA, I take LANE HUTSON, I sit him next to me on the plane, and I say, Lane, if Quinn Hughes needs a break in one of the preliminary games or he gets injured, that's the only time you're playing. That's it. If you don't want,
it doesn't even have to be that. It doesn't even have to go to that.
If Quinn Hughes was to go down, Noah Hanifin is not going to bring the same type of game. Like Joey, when you play fantasy football and Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey get picked, you go and sneak in there and you take their backup, because if goes down and if the star goes down, you want to slide somebody in that role. Where to me, LANE HUTSON is just a guy that if Quinn Hughes goes down, then you just put LANE HUTSON. You probably don't have to change your offense. You probably don't have to change the dynamic of your power play. You don't have to do any of that. You just plug and play. And if you never want to play him, because whatever, man, because Slavin is an excellent hockey player. Werenski's an excellent hockey player. Sanderson's an excellent hockey player. Like, it's okay. Like, he's the group is a very nice collective. But if they were to lose Hughes, there is nothing that they can do to fill that void. Whereas Lane Hutson can fill that void. So I take him and I don't play him until I have to play him or I wish to play him. So that to me, that was an epic fail. But Jason Robertson, yeah, he's better than Trocheck and he's better than JT Miller, easily.
Yeah. So look, they team build. Bill Guerin has forgotten more about hockey than I'll ever know. But to me, Simon, I think, if you want to look at it that way, that's fine. I think I'm okay. If I have Quinn Hughes and Lane Hutson playing top 6 on my team, I'm okay with that. I don't think, the small thing and all, whatever. He's not the greatest defensive defenseman in the world. All right, awesome. But, at the end of the day, the guy can also be a difference maker on the other end, can help you in transition, can help create offense. But, hey, this is a Team USA team that scratched one of the best goal scorers in the NHL last year in the Four Nations final. They didn't dress Kyle Connor, and they ended up losing by a goal. They ended up losing in overtime, and you never know. I'm not saying that it had Kyle Connor played, they win that game, but he's a guy who can beat a goalie from distance. He's a guy who can beat a goalie clean without a screen, and you never know. So Team USA has done some weird stuff before. So the Canadiens end up coming home. Before we go, I just want to say again, another obvious point from me, but the Demidov pass, the play at the blue line to get into star territory, to attract attention, to find Kapanen there where he did. I mean, it's just, I was like, man, this guy's ridiculous. And the Canadiens have a legitimate shot to go back-to-back Calder Trophy winners. I think it's going to be tough because anytime, I think if you put it in context, you see what Schaefer did the other night in overtime on Saturday night. I think if you put it in context, we're being honest, even if Schaefer falls, points short of Demidov, I think that people are going to give a teenage defenseman the nod over a young forward like that. But you never know. Second half of the year, if Demidov takes off, we'll see where it goes. But I think the Canadiens have a legitimate shot of going back to back. And on the Hudson front, Simon, he's going to get the Olympic break off. I think, unless he's called up because of injury, he'll get the break off. And I think a lot of those guys, the Demidovs, the Caulfields, the Hudsons, a lot of those guys that are not going to go to the Olympics, the Canadiens are going to need a lot from them because those guys are going to be fresh in the second half of the year or fresher in the second half of the year. And that rest, as much as it stinks for them, as much as I feel for all of those guys, the rest could be a weapon for the Canadiens in that case because Suzuki's played a lot of hockey. Slavkovsky's played really, really well, and he's young and he's big, but he's going to the Olympics too. Same deal for Kapanen. I think everyone, nobody expected Kapanen to play as many minutes as he has, but he's going to the Olympics too. So, to me, there's a couple of guys that are going to be well rested coming out of the break, and the Canes are going to need those guys.
Oh, especially look at the difference. Nick Suzuki not going to Four Nations last year. He takes that break, he comes back, and because of that break, he's come back and he's been one of the best players in the NHL in 2025, right? So it will help. That is a silver lining. It sucks for those guys, but if you're a member of the Habs Nation, having these guys rested is a very good thing. And you go back to the Demidov and the Schaefer, it's going to be tough because, an 19-year-old defenseman who's got his team also, I think, locked into that second spot, I think, behind Carolina. So the team is having success as well. And Demidov is playing all world. Even the little shimmy at the blue line against Carolina, and he slides it over to Kapanen, who banks it in, not banks it in, but fires it in as well, playing at a high level. But look, who cares? Calder trophies for him it's a personal thing. It doesn't change anything for the rest of us. It's just that the Canadiens have found themselves an excellent hockey player who's probably a year away from hitting those point-a-game numbers as well.
Which is crazy. Another point-a-game guy. They already got 3 point-a-game guys. So we'll see what a return to the Bell Center has in store for the Canadiens this week. So, Tsalikis, I'll see you in studio tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow. Simon Tsalikis and Joey Alfieri on the Sports Dép Podcast. Don't forget, you can subscribe. Subscribe. If you enjoy watching, subscribe on YouTube. So every time Sam, our producer, uploads an episode, you'll get that little ping. He does it usually typically very early in the morning, but maybe just put your phone on silent mode, but subscribe so that you don't miss another episode of the Sports Dép Podcast. If you're listening to us on your way back into the office on any morning this week, you can make sure that you can listen to the audio version as well. You can find us on Apple Podcast and you can find us on Spotify. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody, and we'll be back in studio for Tuesday's episode and the rest of the week. Tsalikis, be good.
Yes, sir.